A former Google engineer has just been convicted of stealing AI supercomputer secrets for China. And a major antivirus vendor's update server was hijacked to deliver malware.
I'm Morgan, and that's Alex. We've got a lot to unpack today, from insider threats to some very old vulnerabilities finally coming to light. Let's break it down.
We're starting today with a bit of a time capsule in the vulnerability database. We've seen 3 critical flaws hit the wire, all carrying 2020 IDs. First up is CVE 2020-37027, which affects Sickbeard Alpha.
Wait, 2020? That's a 5-year-old ID. I'm guessing this is one of those cases where the disclosure queue was backed up, or the research just finally went through the official NVD process?
Exactly. Don't let the 2020 date fool you. This is fresh intel for the database. This Sickbeard flaw is a remote command injection vulnerability. Essentially, an unauthenticated attacker can execute arbitrary commands through the extra scripts configuration field. If they can set a malicious command there and trigger processing, they own the installation.
Sickbeard is that automated media management tool, right? A lot of people run that on home servers or NAS devices. If it's unauthenticated, that means anyone who can see that web interface on the internet could potentially turn that server into a botnet node or a jumping-off point into a home network.
Precisely. And it's not the only one from that era surfacing now. We also have CVE 2020-37052, which hits AirControl version 1.4.2. This one is a pre-authentication remote code execution flaw. It uses Java expression injection through the SIEM endpoint.
AirControl, that's the network management platform for Ubiquiti devices. That's a much bigger target for an attacker. Java expression injection. That's basically tricking the server into running its own internal logic as a system command, isn't it?
Spot on. By crafting a specific URL with those Java expressions, an attacker runs commands with the application's full system privileges, no login required. It's about as bad as it gets, which is why it's sitting at a CVSS 9.8 out of 10.
It's wild that these are just hitting the official records now. It makes you wonder how many other alpha or legacy versions of tools are sitting out there with these known but not cataloged holes.
It's a constant battle with legacy code. The third one in this batch is CVE 2020-37050, a buffer overflow in Quick Player 1.3. This one is triggered by a malicious .m3l file. If a user loads a specially crafted playlist file, the application overflows its memory buffer and can execute the attacker's code.
That's a classic file parsing exploit. It reminds me of the old Winamp or VLC vulnerabilities, where just opening a media file could compromise your machine. Even if these are older versions, the lesson is the same. If you're still running Quick Player 1.3 or Sickbeard Alpha, you are wide open.
The takeaway here is that old doesn't mean safe. If these tools are still in your environment, they need to be updated or isolated immediately. Now, moving away from the database and into the courtroom, we have a major update on a story we've been following regarding industrial espionage.
Right, the Google case. A federal jury just convicted Linwei Ding, he also went by Leon Ding, for stealing AI supercomputer data. He was a software engineer at Google, and he was secretly sharing that tech with 2 Chinese tech firms.
This wasn't just a few files. Ding was allegedly copying trade secrets related to Google's proprietary AI chip architecture and software. This is the hardware that powers their most advanced LLMs. He was reportedly doing this while secretly serving as the CTO for a startup in China that was working on similar tech.
The double agent dynamic is what gets me. It's a massive reminder that your biggest security risk isn't always a hacker in a hoodie halfway across the world. Sometimes, it's the person with the badge and the internal access. Google's internal systems eventually flagged the data transfer, but by then, the damage was largely done.
It highlights the difficulty of protecting intellectual property in the AI arms race. When the moat around your company is your proprietary code, an insider with a thumb drive or a cloud upload tool is a nightmare scenario.
Speaking of nightmares, let's talk about the eScan antivirus situation. This is a classic supply chain attack, and it's honestly terrifying because it hits the very tool you use for protection.
This one is coming from Microworld Technologies. Their eScan update server was compromised. Attackers were able to feed a malicious file directly to eScan customers by masquerading it as a legitimate update.
This is giving me major SolarWinds vibes, or the CCleaner incident from a few years back. When the update mechanism itself is the delivery vector, the user is basically defenseless because they've already trusted the vendor's certificate and connection.
Exactly. If your antivirus tells you it needs an update, you click yes. You don't expect it to be dropping a backdoor. It's a reminder for enterprises to monitor the behavior of their security tools, not just the alerts they generate. If your AV process starts reaching out to strange IP addresses in a way it never has before, that's a red flag.
And while we're on the subject of sophisticated attacks, Mandiant just released a report on a group using shiny hunter-style tactics. They're using advanced voice phishing, or vishing, to bypass multi-factor authentication.
This is a trend we've been seeing explode. They aren't just trying to guess your password. They're calling employees, pretending to be IT support, and talking them into visiting a bogus credential harvesting site. Once the user enters their info, the attacker triggers an MFA prompt and convinces the user to approve it or read the code over the phone.
It's that human element again. We've spent years telling people that MFA is the gold standard for security. But if an attacker is charming enough or sounds authoritative enough on the phone, they can walk right through it. Mandiant says this group is specifically targeting SaaS platforms to gain unauthorized access to corporate data.
It's a shift in tradecraft. They're moving away from pure technical exploits and back to social engineering. Because, frankly, it's easier and it works. If you're in a high-value target industry, your employees need to know that IT will never call them and ask for an MFA code.
Speaking of targeted attacks, there's a new campaign called Red Kitten. It's a Farsi-speaking threat actor, likely Iranian state-aligned, and they've been very active this month, January 2026.
Harfang Lab has been tracking this. Red Kitten is specifically going after NGOs and activists who are documenting human rights abuses in Iran. This activity seems to be timed with the nationwide unrest that started late last year.
It's a grim reminder of how cyber tools are used for political repression. These aren't just hackers, they're an extension of state intelligence services. They're using these campaigns to identify and silence dissenters.
And finally, a couple of quick hits on the consumer side. Instagram had a bit of a scare where a researcher found that private profile photos were leaking to unauthenticated visitors through direct links. Meta says they fixed it now, but they initially brushed off the report.
And there's a massive cloud storage scam making the rounds. People are getting flooded with fake renewal emails saying their photos and files will be deleted due to a payment failure. It's a classic panic-inducing tactic to get you to hand over your credit card info.
The common thread today? Whether it's a 2020 vulnerability in a media player or a vishing call for your MFA code, the attackers are looking for the path of least resistance. Update your legacy software, especially CVE 2020-37052 if you're using AirControl, and remind your team that a phone call from IT asking for a code is always a scam.
Your daily AI-powered security briefing. If this saved you time, subscribe. We're here every morning.
Stay patched, stay paranoid.